You know, there are icons and there are legends, and one of them, well, she's with us today. The creator and co-founder of Olivia Records and Olivia Events and Cruises, Judy Dlugacz. Welcome.
Hello, David. How are you?
Fine. Do you like being called a legend? I mean, what becomes a legend most?
It's better than a pioneer.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's been 42 years,
yeah.
and it's been an amazing experience to start in the early 70s and see the changes that have taken place. It's
what
magnificent.
Singers, what artists would we not be listening to today if you hadn't brought them for in 1973?
Yeah, in 1973, we worked with artists that Meg Christian and Chris Williamson and Linda Tillery, and we started really creating music that was never heard before, which was music about women, for women. And we didn't call it lesbian music, we only called it women's music at that point.
Right, well, and part of that is, I think, because we're coming out of the first push for the ERA and the women's movement and all of that.
And we were afraid that if we said lesbian, which we were, that people wouldn't listen. And we knew that the music would touch people in their hearts first, so they wouldn't be so afraid. And so women all over the country who never had an idea that there were people like them could listen to a record and suddenly feel connected. So we had concerts and albums, music. We did 40 albums over 20 years.
You know, it's funny, I just came back a few weeks ago from New York City, which is, of course, always a stimulating and exhausting experience, but was there for the Tony Awards, where, to everyone's delight, but frankly, I think some surprise, Fun Home, a lesbian musical based on a very edgy lesbian comic novel by Alison Bechdel, won Best Musical.
It's a great musical.
Yeah, would we have a Fun Home without Olivia?
I don't think so. It would have taken longer, but I think that we had helped to create a culture for lesbians and then also the LGBT community, because the two sort of merged as the AIDS crisis really started.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I mean, I moved to California in the mid-'80s during the depths of the AIDS years, and suddenly a lot of lesbians whom we wouldn't have known otherwise were caregivers for men living with and dying from AIDS.
Right.
And the music that Olivia Records was recording and putting out there then was a big part of it.
Yeah. So I just met Stevie Wonder last week, and I was actually at the White House, and I met Stevie, and I said, I started Olivia Records. He said, oh, I know Olivia Records. So went out there in many, many ways. Bonnie Raitt, the first record company that ever let her play guitar as a backup on an album was Olivia, because women weren't allowed to play those instruments,
Right.
So it's a really amazing thing, and we did thousands of concerts, literally, all over the world, and we sold a couple of million records, and it was like this creation. We were paralleling both the women's movement and the gay movement. We were right there, helping to support it in many ways.
So, do you think of yourself as an activist or an entrepreneur?
Thank you. I think of myself first as an activist and second as an entrepreneur. We decided to do a record company because we thought that we could change the world through music. And then we decided
Did you really? I mean, that's a big mission statement.
Well, it was. Well, we were 20. I was 20. That was a great mission.
Yeah,
we thought we could do anything.
This pushy Jewish dyke. I'm going to change the world through music.
That's right. And in a lot of ways we did. It was a really amazing thing that happened. So we paved the way for a lot of the women to perform and to get contracts in the music industry. So it really made a big difference.
Did you ever have any women who came to you and said, I would love to record a record with you, but oh my God, they're just going to think I'm too gay. I'm a dyke. You'll kill my
actually,
career.
honestly, nobody, there were only a few artists that felt like, I want to be an out lesbian artist.
Yeah, it wasn't a big selling point in 1973.
It was really, they had to really take a giant leap of faith when they worked with Olivia, because they understood that it was going to be important to do this work. And actually, they sold a lot of records. We sold hundreds of thousands of records. Chris Williamson's The Changer and the Change sold over 250,000 albums. That was amazing.
Why the name?
It comes from a novelette written in 1949 by a young woman, whose name was Dorothy Busey. It was about a young woman who went to a French boarding school and fell in love with the headmistress, and her name was Olivia. And it was the first time in history that a positive statement was made about this unrequited but true love.
Right, there wasn't a woman throwing herself off.
Right, she wasn't, somebody did commit suicide in it, but it wasn't Olivia. So but then we moved on and we morphed, we did concerts at Carnegie Hall and we created really this amazing thing. And then I went into my late 30s and I went, I think I'd like to travel, and maybe other women would like to travel too. And I wrote a letter to the Olivia mailing list and said, I think you'd like to be out and yourself in a secure environment, having the greatest time of your lives on vacation. So you have to sign up now, and you can't cancel, and it's a year from now, and it's 4 nights in the Bahamas. I need 600 of you now, and 600 women signed up right away.
Was that a cruise or was it just an event? So which ship did you use? Because there weren't a lot of cruise companies with working lifeboats that wanted to do
this was
gay
kind
cruises.
of it was an old, wonderful Greek family ship that had great decks, but it was a bit of a tug. The beds wouldn't push. But no one wanted to charter to us when we first started, because we only do full charters, and we do resorts as well, and we do trips to the Galapagos and trips to, you name it. We go on safari, and we do 6-star trips, and we do 3.5-star trips, and we do Club Meds, and we do everything. We do 2,100 passenger ships and 46 passenger ships. So we do, but they're always totally chartered.
Yeah. Does it bother you? Well, I mean, maybe this isn't a fair question. Maybe it is. Yeah. It seems like the men's events always get more play. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's because, white guys in bathing suits, cameras love them. I don't know. But people talk about Atlantis. People talk about RSVP. Olivia was doing it long before they were. Yeah.
We were doing the cruises around the same time as RSVP. But, I have never looked at it that way. I've always looked straight ahead at what I'm doing and just gone for the gusto around empowering women and creating a space. I love this community. I mean, I love the LGBT community, but I love the lesbian community. They're amazing women all over the country that it's a different experience. So I stand up for the lesbians wherever I go. I mean, I do a lot of work for the Democratic Party, and I did work for Obama, and I'm now working around Hillary's campaign. And, I get it out there, and I brought 6 round tables of lesbians to fundraise with Michelle Obama. At the table, we did a round table with Michelle Obama. And so for about 12 hours, we sat with Michelle, different women every time.
How is she on lesbian issues? You think she gets it?
She's the best. Oh, yeah, she's great. And, the thing is, she got to hear the intimate realities for women. And also, these are amazing women who came around the table. And so, I think one time I said, so Michelle, did you enjoy it? And she said, oh, Judy, this is my therapy. So it was kind of like this wonderful, she loved it. And so I was saying all that because I'm kind of the person who wears the L at all times. I feel like it's something that's really important because we've been so underserved and invisible. And so, but it's an amazing group of women. I mean, Olivia has proven every stereotype wrong. And it's so great on the trips because we have women from 25 years old to 95 years old.
Where do you think that the whole issue of ageism is something that doesn't really affect the lesbian community as much as it does gay men?
Yes, I don't think it affects it as strongly. I think that there are generational differences, but I think the generations would like to interact to some degree. And so when we do our trips, they get to. And the different 10 years makes a big difference in this community. The 90-year-olds or the 85-year-olds or the 75-year-olds, they're coming and they were never out. The 65-year-olds and the baby boomers, they came out during this time. And then the younger women are able to...
They sprang forth from the womb out.
Right.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like on a clamshell or something rising from the sea.
But they love the older women as well. So it's this great combination of things that happen on these trips. The resorts are, a younger crowd for the most part goes on the resorts, and the more upscale cruises, it's an older crowd, but they intermingle on most of the big trips, and it's just fantastic.
Did you ever think that tourism would be a political statement?
I didn't. Olivia is always a political statement. Everything we do, we go around the world. I have such great stories about going to Turkey, and they had the front pages of Istanbul's papers were talking about the women of Olivia coming to one of the Turkish towns and saving the economy of Turkey, and we wish them the best of luck. And this was on the front
When was
pages. This was right after the Kosovo War, which was a while back.
Yeah,
But
98, 99,
every single publication, 4 of them, had this. They'd never mentioned the word lesbian before, and here we were. I have many stories like that in the Bahamas, and we've really changed the way people see our community, the LGBT community.
So we've got marriage equality.
Yes, we do.
Now what?
There's a lot now. You know, it's interesting because the 2 most conservative things we could have come up with was military and marriage, right?
Listen, what was it Barney Frank said, you know, Congressman
Yeah.
Frank? Oh, yeah, all these gay people, they're so radical. They just want to join the army and get married.
So but how wonderful it is that it enabled the society to say, oh, we can connect with you, we can envelop you, we can love you.
Right.
That was great. I was surprised that was the way it happened.
No, I cried. I mean, I think we all did.
Great. I mean, this is an historic moment beyond belief. The culture is going to have to continue to catch up, and also we can never underestimate. You know, we have all these rights that still have to happen.
Well, of course.
But we can't ever underestimate that there's going to constantly be this negative attitude towards our community, just as that happens with racism and with anti-Semitism.
It's been 150 years since Lee surrendered to Grand Appomattox, and we're still talking about, the Confederate banner.
Yeah.
So because we got gay marriage, are we finally going to get the ERA?
You know, I think we have the potential with a female president. And actually that came up at one of the gatherings that I was at, and it was an interesting question, can we do that now? And she goes, we're going to have to work on that. We're going to have to make that I think that's going to happen for sure.
I mean, does it kind of piss you off a little
Yes.
bit? It's like, okay, I'm a gay person and I can get married, but I'm a woman and I still make, what is it, 60 cents for every dollar a man makes?
77 now. 77. But, the other part of that is that women are going to be that last area because of the dynamics of sexism are just so great. And, racism is such a huge issue in this country, and sexism is a huge issue worldwide. And, of course, racism is worldwide, but it's this country in particular.
So we keep on keeping on.
Yeah, we have a lot to do. The great thing would be is all these communities coming together now.
Well, yeah.
It's time for them all to work just
maybe
together,
it could be more
period.
than just let's sing Kumbaya. Maybe we could really do something.
Right, exactly, and we will.
We've only got a few moments left.
Okay.
What would you like to leave our viewers with? Of all the stuff you've done, you started a record company, you're lunching with Michelle Obama, you got a lesbian cruise business going. What's next?
We are doing a community in Palm Springs, so that is coming up. We are doing a community for the LGBT community in Palm Springs. We're also doing a family and friends event, a resort in Nuevo Vallarta next July. So we're bringing communities together, and at the same time, we're always going to be doing Olivia the way we do, because it's, people say, well, now that we have rights, is Olivia going to go away? I said, no, because why? Because it's better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really better.
Thanks for talking to us.
My pleasure.
Always a pleasure to speak with Judy. Next up, out, proud, transgender, and singing the national anthem for a major American sports team. Our conversation with opera singer Brianna Sinclair. We'll be right back.